The warmongering and lawless administration in Washington is solely and fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far-reaching implications of its act of aggression. Of course, the door for diplomacy should be always keep open, but this is not the case right now. My country has been under attack, under aggression, and we have to respond based on our legitimate right of self-defense. And we will do that as long as needed and necessary. It's irrelevant to ask Iran to return to diplomacy because we were in the middle of diplomacy. We were in the middle of talks with the United States when Israelis blew it up. And again, we were in the middle of talks and negotiation with Europeans, happened only 2 days ago in Geneva, when this time Americans decided to blow it up. Well, I'm going to Moscow this afternoon, and I have a meeting with President Putin tomorrow morning. Russia is a friend of Iran, and we enjoy a strategic partnership, and we always consult with each other and coordinate our positions.
Iran has warned America's attack will have everlasting consequences. The US president is calling on Iran to get back to the negotiating table, but Tehran says it reserves all rights to retaliate. Dominic Waghorn explains now on how Iran could strike back.
President Trump has plunged the US into this war with probably the most extreme option he had available. So what happens next, and how likely is this conflict to expand further? Iran is almost certain to retaliate. Not doing so would make it look even weaker. So what could it target? The US has military bases throughout the Middle East: Qatar, Kuwait, Iraq and Saudi Arabia. Killing Americans might be a priority for Iran to try and drive a wedge between Trump and his MAGA supporters back home, who say America is getting drawn into yet another Middle Eastern war, risking US lives. Iran could attack Americans directly with drones and missiles, or use proxies in the Middle East. Hezbollah in Lebanon has been massively degraded by Israel. More likely, Iran would use militias it backs in Iraq, or the Houthis based in Yemen, whose truce with the US appears to be in tatters. All that would invite massive retaliation, of course, from America, so Iran might prefer asymmetrical options. In that case, Britain could also be a target. Could all this lead to terror attacks in the UK? In the region, there are two stretches of water to worry about, both strategically vital. The Houthis could threaten shipping in the Red Sea, while Iran could directly target vessels in the Persian Gulf, as they've done before, harassing ships with smaller boats, firing rockets at them and seizing them. Now, if the Gulf goes up in flames, expect a big hit to the global economy and the price of oil too. The Iranians have threatened to shut off the Strait of Hormuz, this choke point through which a third of the world's seaborne oil passes. All this would send shockwaves through the world's financial markets. The US has massively increased its presence to retaliate to any retaliation, with no less than 3 aircraft carrier battle groups in the region. As things stand, this is almost certain to escalate, but could it also widen and suck other nations into the conflict? Russia and Iran have a strategic partnership agreement, but it doesn't require Moscow to come to Iran's support. Iran is also China's closest ally in the Middle East, but Beijing is also likely to sit this one out, it's thought, and watch from the sidelines. The priority for Iran's leadership is to survive, to fight another day, and redouble efforts eventually to build the bomb. If Israel can't change the regime in Iran, which isn't easy, it'll have to manage the Iranian threat and cut it down to size from time to time. That could mean years more military action and could be hugely costly for both Israel and its American backers. So Iran is in a very tight spot, but the future could be challenging for both Israel and America too.